Good evening, everyone. It's Friday once again. How are you doing? I see Bob's in already. Bob, Malcolm, Ozzy, how are you all? Yes, excuse me, I have urgent business to attend to. And this genuinely is the first one of the week this week. Somebody asked me towards the end of the stream last week what I was drinking. This seems to be my go-to kind of tipple these days, just Morrison's Export. I normally kind of do the shopping at Aldi, but that's a longer journey and I'm pushed for time at the moment, so I'll go to the Morrison's, which is closer, and that's just the beer I always pick up when I'm in there. Cheers. Oh, dear me, that's good. Right. It seems I always start off these live streams with a little bit of a heads up about what's coming up in the coming week's videos. Let's see. Tomorrow, there is a bit of a challenge for you. A bit of a challenge. You'll know more when you watch the video. But basically, it's like a little way of kind of just gently teasing you out of your comfort zone when you're playing a bit of lead guitar. And then Monday, well, as you know, I always do a solo analysis on a Monday. And this coming Monday, we are looking at, yes, that's the one, Billy Gibbons. Probably his best known solo from the 80s. As I say in the video, it's something of a rarity. A guitar solo played that was a big hit in the 80s that didn't feature a Floyd Rose trem on it. But then Tuesday, well, normally I do amp sim reviews on a Tuesday, or have been doing lately. And, I'm giving that a rest this week. There's basically a video coming on, a video coming on why I defected from Team Stratocaster to Team Telecaster. And Paul Davids, I think it was, did a video on this kind of topic a few days ago or whatever. That's when I saw it anyway. And I thought, you know what? I kind of arrived at the same decision for slightly different reasons. So I'm doing my take on that. Wednesday will be some kind of lesson video, I think. Haven't decided what it's going to be yet, but if anyone wants to make a suggestion, I'm open to ideas. Thursday, we're looking at practice amps. These kind of buyer's guide sort of videos I've been doing lately. It's practice amps this week. And then Friday, we're back on the beer again. So cheers. Good evening, Scott. Yes. Somebody's on Banks's Amber Bitter tonight. Now, I do like a drop of Banks's, but I used to like the mild. Banks's mild, that's a nice drop, although they don't call it mild anymore, do they? I'm reliably informed. Matty's in, Matty Lockwood. Yes, I'm doing very well, thank you, Matty. The two Regis, yes. There's an old mucker of mine from the Songcrafters Forum. He's, I don't think I've seen you on here before, have I, Reg? Yes. Can you answer, John? Can you answer a quick question, please? I'll give it a go. What's the question, mate? Yes, Malcolm, the signature axe is looking really good. I know that Dan, who's building it, is listening to this stream at the moment as he's stuck in traffic. He was hoping to turn up and be, a participant, but he's, I didn't know you could listen to YouTube in the car, but apparently you can. Evening, Dave. Do you need an XLR cable for the interface? No. My interface, you can plug an XLR cable into it if you're using a mic lead, but It's just like phono outputs that go into the speakers, into the powered speakers, USB output to the computer, and just a regular guitar lead from the guitar into the interface. Ozzy, I resoldered my telly without grounding the volume pot, and the volume pot was stuck on full. Yes, is that what was causing all that microphonic stuff then, mate? Was that what that issue was? It's an easy thing to do. I had a telly that not a telly. It was. Do you remember the brand of import guitars, copy guitars called Phoenix? From years and years and years ago. I had one of their Telecaster copies, and I took it to get a bit of work done on it to a local guitar guy, and it came back and it was buzzing like I don't know what, and he'd forgotten to put the ground wire into the bridge. Thank you, mate. Sorry for being a bit thick with these. No, don't worry about it, Scott. You know, there's no such thing as a daft question. You know, we've all got to kind of ask the question sometime. I had to. Speaking of practice amps, I use a Boss Katana Mini. I'm fairly new player, and it's big enough for me. Got to think of the neighbours. Yeah. I mean, this is it. This is the whole kind of thing. This is what that video is going to be about on Thursday. It's going to be about getting a good sound at low volume. And no, I mean, spoiler alert, yes, the Spark amp is going to be featured in that. I still haven't had a chance to play one, but I'm going to trust everybody else out there who says that they are just incredible. Evening, Craig. How are you, mate? Craig, who you see there, he's the proud owner of a Gordon Smith, the kind of bigger brother of mine, the GS Deluxe, I think, and he's very kindly going to be bringing it round for me to check out in a few weeks' time. So that's going to be fun. Okay, you install a 250k volume pot when the iron geared pickups needs a 500. Yeah, easily done. Some guitars you'll get away with that on, and others it just really punishes the sound. John, do you play bass? When necessary, yes. I wouldn't consider myself to be, a proper, bass player, but I can bluff my way through on a bass. Matty's saying he played through his amp the first time in a long while and could barely push my 50 watt Black Star Club. Yeah, well, that's a 50 watt amp in the house, I've seen this more than once, actually, and it usually is a guy, some bloke in his, kind of middle age, gets the Fender Stratocaster or the Gibson Les Paul that he wanted as a youth but couldn't afford, and gets the Marshall stack to go with it, and then you can't, talking a guy I remember one time actually turned up for a lesson with a 100 watt Marshall stack and a 4B12, and he was going, well, why doesn't it sound like a Marshall? I said, because you need to crank it up to 10 and you can't. What we got here? Johnny's saying you've been practicing arpeggios lately, all triads in the key of C. Happy when moving. When I'm happy moving on to G because it's the next in the circle. Any tips? Well, first of all, what sort of arpeggios? Now that's a thought. Maybe I should do an arpeggio lesson on Wednesday. What sort of arpeggios? Are you talking tapping? Are you talking sweep picking? And what problems are you having? It's there's all kinds of things that could potentially be pitfalls that you'd need to avoid. Yeah, I'm no Jaco Pastorius either, Ozzy, but I think my first bass playing experience was probably at school, because we had a trendy music teacher who bought like drum kits and electric guitars and synthesizers and stuff, and I remember vividly. I think it was a Hondo bass, I remember vividly having a go on that one lunchtime in the school music room, and probably doing it in a school concert for some reason or something. I can't remember. Sweeping and moving between them. Okay. Right. Yes, I will do a video on sweep picking in the on Wednesday. Then that's Wednesday's video sorted. The key with sweep picking really is you don't need to. I find you don't need to do long strings of arpeggios. You know, I find that if I do one or two arpeggios, like maybe, say if I'm in the key of C, I'll maybe do a G major and an A minor arpeggio, and then I can use that in the key of C, in the key of G as well. You know, and you know you've played a little bit of sweep picking, and you finish on a big bend, and you've kind of got the point across. You've done a little bit of twiddly stuff, and you've got it out of your system. I always find that when people do big long kind of strings of like sweep picked arpeggios, it does begin to sound a bit more like an exercise than a solo. Jake Lizio did a cool sweep picking video. I'm not surprised. All of his videos are really, really good. If you haven't checked out his channel, what's it called? Signals Music Studio. Then you know, just check it out. He's the consummate guitar teacher. He's fantastic. You had a drum teacher come into your school, Malcolm, dearie me. Well, actually, we didn't have a drum teacher come into our school, but one of the schools that I worked at as a guitar teacher, visiting guitar teacher, had a drum teacher, and it was a guy who's a bit of a legend around here, Paul Smithy, who used to be in a band called the Toy Dolls. Well, maybe he still is in the Toy Dolls. I don't know. I've just not heard of them for a while. And seen them many a time. And then he turns up in a school as a drum teacher. Yeah, the neighbour is old and a bit deaf. Might chance a bit more volume. Yes. Well, it's better to seek forgiveness than ask permission. That's the saying, isn't it? Nelly the Elephant, Johnny. Yes, indeed, mate. That was their big hit, wasn't it? They were a big kind of pull on the live circuit round Tyneside and Teesside, and you know, as I say, I saw them a few times. Fantastic band. Yes, mate. Nelly the Elephant. Paul Kossoff's dad, that would be David Kossoff, wouldn't it? Came to our school to talk about drugs. Yeah. Now there's a thing. I actually knew about David Kossoff before I knew about Paul Kossoff for precisely that reason, because he came to our school as well. You know, at some point when I was in, you know, I think primary school, and he gave this talk, and he was just this nice old gentleman. I didn't know who he was, and then learned about Paul Kossoff later when I started getting into sort of decent music. And there you go. Craig saying, used to be obsessed with sweep picking and would constantly use it, but the older I started to understand less is more. That's it. Yeah, it's all of these kind of speedy, kind of flashy, kind of twiddly-widdly techniques. I tend to view them as being like that jar of chili powder that you've got in the cupboard. A little bit now and again is perfect, but you don't want to sit and eat a full jar of it all in one sitting. Yeah, where are we? You're lucky we had a prisoner from Littlehair talk to us about drugs and a cop. Yeah, we got, I don't think we got an ex-con coming to the school, but we certainly had the police come round, you know, just to kind of give us talks on, you know, possible careers in the police when we grew up and everything. And you know, the thing is, when you're a kid, you know, anybody that comes to give you a talk at school is well, it's a chance to get out of a lesson, isn't it? Yes, that's an old one, Brad. My neighbour knocked on my door at 2 a.m. Can you believe it? 2 a.m. Lucky for him, I was still up playing electric guitar. Indeed. what's the other old gag? You know, kind of loud music in the middle of the night can annoy your neighbours. Setting fire to the bins, that's another good way. Did anybody watch the Peter Green Fleetwood Mac documentary last Saturday night? I've still got it to watch, mate. I recorded it, but I haven't got round to watching it yet because the wife tends to monopolise the TV. I may have mentioned in a video or two that she makes her own jewellery and sells it, and most of the time the TV is tuned to Sky Channel 674. Check it out sometime. That's what's on in our house most of the time. It's a jewellery component shopping channel. Yes, riveting stuff. Paul and David used to tell Bible stories on the telly in the early 60s. Paul's dad, David, used to tell Bible stories on the telly in the early 60s. I didn't know that. What's that? Dave caught G290. It's got a fat bird's eye maple neck. I haven't never heard of it. What's it like? Caught. I don't know. This might be Caught. I think it's one of these companies. I might be wrong. Correct me if I am. But I think Caught are the world's biggest guitar manufacturer. It's just that usually they come out of the Caught factory as PRS or Epiphone or something else, you know. But yeah, I mean, I watched, what's his name, China Guitar Skeptic, doing an unboxing of a Caught Les Paul copy the other day, and dearie me, I was getting some guitar acquisition syndrome with that. It was a beautiful looking thing, very honest, kind of stripped back, but really minimalist looking, good looking guitar. Do they use rivets in jewellery? Do you know what? I don't think they do. I can tell you all the names of the components, or findings as they call them. There's things called jump rings, and there's things called lobster claw clasps and all manner of stuff. As I say, it just kind of seeps in by osmosis when it's on all the time. Yeah, well, I shall watch it, Ozzy. As I say, it's there in the planner. I just need to carve out an hour or two of me time on the telly to watch it. Yes, I thought it was, mate. Caught is the biggest. You know, they make guitars for everybody, and you know, it's. I just think it's when you think of the quality of the guitars that they make for other people, you know, it's just I would quite like to support them as you know, as a brand in their own right, because they do make beautiful guitars. But as you know, I've got another guitar coming very soon. Well, not very soon. I don't know how long it's going to be before Dan's got the guitar made. It's just want to give you an update on the spec on that guitar as well. Forgot to mention it in the video this morning. It's going to have, as you know, it's a twin humbucker guitar. It's going to have the single coil switching. It's also going to have the phase switching, so you can get pretty close to that Peter Green kind of sound. Oh, you was asking about the bird's eye maple. What about bird's eye maple, mate? What about the bird's eye maple? It's, in case you, bird's eye maple is like kind of the maple that you see that's got all the kind of, rather than the kind of tiger stripes, it's the one it's that maple that's got like all the kind of swirls and kind of looks like you know, when you kind of see ripples on a pond and waves on a pond, it looks like kind of a freeze frame of that sort of thing. That's the best way I can describe it. But it's all very highly figured and beautiful looking. Is 3 vintage Greenie Moore any good, excluding the... I think that is the vintage Greenie Moore any good, excluding the relicking. It's a nice guitar, and I'm with you on the relicking, but they also do a non-relicked version as well. The only thing I don't like about that is the fact that it feels a bit sort of plasticky and glossy. It's a very heavy gloss lacquer on that, which it's not a deal killer for me, but it's just I would prefer if they'd done like the kind of satin finish that they do on the relic guitar, but without the relicking. Yes, that's another old one, isn't it, Jason? How does Bob Marley like his donuts? Indeed, me. Yes. Yeah, it is hard to go wrong with a Schecter, mate. It's just, again, I mean, my first sort of knowledge of Schecter was from a parts catalogue that I had back in the late 70s, maybe early 80s. I can't remember. All that's a bit hazy now. It's a long time ago. And they were just you could buy these these Schecter bits that you could put onto your Strat or your Les Paul, and then never really heard from them. They weren't on my radar for a few years, and then suddenly, Mark Knopfler's using Schecter Strats, and well, all the Dire Straits. I don't know if they had like a kind of endorsement deal or something I think it was on the Alchemy tour, when they were using Schecter guitars. And then suddenly they went from being the Dire Straits guitar to being like, they suddenly kind of became these kind of hard rock guitars. I see there's a Fast Show reference there. I'm sure. What's your name there, Tranny? Yeah, Cheesy Peas. Yes, the Fast Show. Did you see that documentary on that show, by the way? Fantastic sketch show that, in case you've never seen it. It is, it's hard to think that it was like 25, 26 years ago that was on. Yes, indeed. Whatever happened to the Mighty Mike Parts catalogue? Does anybody remember that pickup you could get? That Mighty Mike pickup that you get which was like a humbucker with an extra coil. It was called the Motherbucker. Indeed. Yes. Excuse me. I'm going to need a top up in a second. This week I will be mostly eating. It's Nige. Okay, Nige. Sorry. Yeah, you've been watching them all again. Yeah, fantastic stuff. And the other show, the other TV show that I'm absolutely addicted to at the moment, talking about the Fast Show, is that thing with Paul Whitehouse and Bob Mortimer just going fishing. I have no interest in fishing. I cannot imagine how it can be a good pastime, an entertaining pastime to stand up to your waist in a river, dangling a bit of string to hopefully catch a fish that you're going to throw back immediately. I don't get it. But it's a fantastic show. It's just the banter between those two. It's just good TV. It's just watching two blokes having a bit of banter, Jazz Club, nice indeed. Yes, we're getting all the Fast Show references coming in now, aren't we? Talk amongst yourselves for a moment. Oh, dear me, I've been waiting for this. Friday, my week consists of Monday, which is usually a bit of a frantic day when I've got lots to do and kind of loads of lessons booked in and trying to get the videos organised for the week. And Monday always goes by in a bit of a blur. And Tuesday, that's usually just kind of, it's still Tuesday, isn't it? It feels like the week's kind of a week long already. Wednesday is the hump of the week. Thursday is Friday Eve, and then here we are again. You just live for your Friday. Well, I do anyway. I look forward to this chatting with you guys. Stevie Hoggart's in. Don't let that be a warm up. Oh, you're not. No, I'm not, mate. Pete's just ordered a Harley Benton TE90 QM today. That's a beautiful guitar. That's the like the one with a quilted maple top and the P90s. Yes, I've had one of those in for review. Now there's the thing. Gear for Music do a very, very similar guitar under the brand name Sub-Zero. And it's it's always kind of made me think: are those the same guitar just with different brands on? The finish is different on the Gear for Music one, but it wouldn't surprise me if they come out the same factory. What's It's Friday morning for me. You're teleworking before heading into the office. Shh. Well, I hope you're having a beer. It's Friday after all. One more week, then we're driving down to an island in Croatia through the Austrian Alps for 2 weeks. Life is hard. Yes. Well, it would be nice to have a holiday at some point. The last kind of holiday we had was, we had a weekend away in about 20 whenever, but the last proper holiday we had was 2015. And it would be nice to get away again, but it's, to be honest with you, life is a holiday. I wake up every morning and play the guitar all day and get paid for it. It's there are worse ways to earn a living, put it that way. Cheers. And let's not forget, this video is monetized, so I'm getting paid now. Cheers. Oh, Pete's in Axe Caricaturist. Yeah, you know that caricature of me that you see on my videos, like in the intro and stuff, and on the thumbnail. He did one of Dave Simpson, and I've got to tell you, it's absolutely jaw-droppingly good. He's a very, very talented guy, Pete, and you're just saying there that that Dave Simpson loved it. Do you miss your PRS guitar? No. I've got to tell you, I've had 2 PRS guitars actually. I've had an SE and I've had a Core, and I miss neither of them, to be honest. What set me down the PRS route was, basically, my first Gordon Smith, I got rid of it to fund a PRS, and I resented getting rid of the Gordon Smith so much. I realized I'd made a huge mistake getting rid of that first Gordon Smith, and I never quite fell in love with the PRS as a result of that, either of them. And don't get me wrong, lovely guitars, PRSs, but I just never ever bonded with either of mine. What's that, Grant? I had a Harley Benton T52 for ages. It was a fantastic guitar. Ended up selling it to a tour manager who needed a cheap guitar to take to Canada. I might get another. Yeah, that's it. Those TE52s. I mean, how much are they these days? Maybe about this. I still think they're sub 150 quid. And like all Harley Bentons, and I say this all the time, you have to factor in that it might need a little bit of setup work. But then again, you could say that about a lot of more expensive guitars. But they are equally as good. Those TE52s, I would put those up against either a classic Vibe Telly or a Made in Mexico Fender any day of the week. And, you get them set up nice, and they are beautiful guitars. What's that? I was eating my Harley Benton Telly's got soldering iron marks on the front, and I don't care. That's what's good about Harley Bentons. They're cheap, but not cheap. Yeah, I know what you mean. Cheap, but not cheap. They are good. They are good value. That's another way of putting it. When you think back to Leo Fender's original ethos for making guitars, he wanted to make affordable, mass-produced, good quality guitars for working musicians. That's kind of the game plan that Harley Benton are working to, isn't it? You had to do some setup on your American Standard Strat. Yeah. I've had a guitar through my hands lately that is, it's not a made in the USA Strat. It's a made in Mexico Strat, and the fret sprout on it was just shameful. You know, it's like the wood will shrink on the neck and cause the frets to protrude and make them feel kind of sharp. Okay, I get that. And a guitar can leave the factory feeling good, and you know, by the time it gets to its destination, its final owner, you know, that wood shrinkage can have happened, and that the frets can feel a bit sharp to an extent. But I don't think that, you know, the wood had shrunk that much. This guitar was ridiculously uncomfortable to play. And this is like, you know, this is a Player Series Stratocaster. And you think, what's going on? Why has that left the factory like that? Now, on a 200 quid guitar, I can cope with that. On a 500 quid guitar, I think that's just kind of, you know, pushing it a bit, to be honest. Where are we? Okie dokie. I'm just trying to read this. I'm sorry, guys. I'm just trying to squint through and read these comments. Yes, Emma, indeed. It wasn't one of those, but I've had a couple of those through my hands, and they've both had that particular malady, you know, kind of with them. So I'll tell you, YouTube channel. I'm going to do another video actually about YouTube channels that I'm watching a lot at the moment, and one of them, because I don't get a lot of chance to watch much YouTube at the moment. But has anybody been following that great guitar build-off that Crimson Guitars have challenged? Like a bunch of guitar companies, a bunch of luthier companies around the world are doing kind of wonderful things with, you know, Crimson guitar kits. And I gotta tell you, has anybody seen Texas Toast guitars? What instruments they are! And, you know, the guy who fronts most of the videos is just really, really entertaining and fun to watch. What's that, Ozzy? When I saw Rabea from Anderton's change pickups in a Fender custom shop, I thought, what? That's, yeah, exactly. You know, a Fender custom shop, why would you change the pickups in that? Why not just get the guitar with the pickups in that you want in the first place? But yeah, Texas Toast Guitars, they've got a really good channel full of really great tips and, you know, lots of informative stuff. And it's presented in an entertaining way. I mean, the guy is just like, you know, one of these people who's permanently on transmit and, you know, just really entertaining with it. Yeah, he's... I don't even know what he's called, but they make absolutely gorgeous looking guitars, by the way. Yeah, Craig, it's great, isn't it? The one guy on there who I just think he's I've seen one example of his work, that Brad Angove guy, and he did a little bit of a video before the build-off started where he was kind of slagging everybody else off, you know, and I thought, yeah, he did a video with Daryl Braun where he kind of did some kind of finishing on a Daryl Braun, on a kit guitar that Daryl Braun had built way before the build-off thing happened, and it was just a little bit, you know, you kind of thinking, yeah, mate, that needs another sanding and more finish. And, you know, there's lots of kind of ripply orange peel looking in that. And he's going, this is fantastic. Look at it. And you think, actually, no, it isn't, mate, you know. But other than that, yeah, it's the build-off is looking really, really good. I mean, Ben at Crimson Guitars, I mean, what a guy, you know. We share the same hairdresser, but you know, just when you what I love about watching Crimson Guitars is you can tell that he's just loving what he's doing. He's just kind of getting in there with the chisels and the planes and the sandpaper and everything, and he's just having a whale of a time. And it's great to watch somebody enjoying what they're doing so much. Just ordered a Harley Benton TE70. It was terrible and sent it back and bought a TE80. Brilliant. Love it. Okay. So what was the problem with the TE70? Was it just badly set up, or was it just inherently bad? How much are your pickups for your signature guitar? Now, yes, I talked about this in the video this morning. The pickups in the John Robson signature model Scott Guitars kind of guitar is they are Vanson Alnico 2 Classic 57s. And last time I bought a set, which is a couple of years ago, they were about 30 quid for the set. And you're thinking, how can that be the case? How can you possibly get a good sounding set of pickups for 30 quid? Well, you can, because I've got them. And I sort of have an acquaintance who's in the pickup industry, and he reliably informs me that the actual cost of the raw materials in even the most prestigious branded high-end humbucker is kind of ridiculously small. You're talking under 10 quid for a pickup in terms of raw materials, and put that into and that's him making kind of small amounts of pickups in small volumes. Multiply that up in kind of bulk buying power, and pickups are cheap to make, essentially, and that's why these Vansons don't cost a lot. But dearie me, they sound good. They're just fantastic pickups, and they don't cost the earth, and that's why I'm using them. I decide when I was kind of specking up the signature model guitar, I was thinking, oh yeah, let's go with this and let's go with that. And I'm thinking, let's just go with the pickups that sound good and that you've used and that you have experience of. So that's why I'm going for them. Bottleneck Bob, evening Bob. You got the Native Instruments interface and the accompanying DAW. For some reason, I can't get any recording. Must be my age. Yeah, just. I know that Bob was here a couple of weeks ago with his Gretsch resonator guitar, and you mentioned this at the time, Bob, that you were having problems with the software. Just drop 40 quid on a Behringer interface and see if that makes any difference. It's I've never had any issues with mine. I just plugged it in first time, it worked, and I've never had any issues. So just heard Astral Weeks for the first time. Shameful, I know, but it was a Glenn Hansard, not Van Morrison. But it's opened my eyes to Van Morrison. Any thoughts on Mr. Morrison? Yes, indeed. Oh, I mean, Van Morrison. I mean, how can you not like Van Morrison? It's just, I remember reading a review, actually, and I can't remember which album it was, but it was whatever came out in the late 80s, about sort of 87-ish, an album that he had then. I used to read Q magazine at the time, and basically the review just kind of, it wasn't very long, and it just said, music this fluent cannot be denied. And that's exactly how I feel about Van Morrison. It's just, he is just, what is in his heart goes on in the music. And it's, Van Morrison. Yeah, there you go. Why do firms use ceramic magnets to save money if materials for a whole pickup maxes at £10? Well, the reason why companies use ceramic magnets is, yes, it is a money-saving thing, but it is also a tone-related thing. If you want a really high output, hot kind of pickup, like a DiMarzio Super Distortion or something like an evolution of that, I'm thinking maybe of, something that's of that kind of pedigree, maybe a Seymour Duncan Screaming Demon or something like that, then ceramic magnets do give a better result for that kind of sound. Okay. And you can you can get that kind of higher output hot pickup sound with a ceramic magnet. So that's what they use. But in some cases it is just when you get like a Strat that you can, or a Strat copy I should say, that you can buy for under 100 quid, like 70 or 80 quid, like the Harley Benton ST20s or something like that. It's to kind of shave a little bit of money off the price at every available opportunity, and that's why it's done. But here's my oops, excuse me, the mic then. Here's my thing with ceramic pickups. Not all ceramic pickups are bad pickups, but most bad pickups tend to be ceramic pickups. That's where I'm at with it. Do you prefer humbuckers with or without covers? I don't really have a preference, to be honest. Aesthetically, on a Les Paul, I prefer humbuckers with covers. But that's about as far as it goes. On any other guitar, it doesn't really make a difference to me. I can't say I notice a big difference in sound. There probably is a difference in sound, but again, it's one of those things that when you plug your guitar in and you're kind of dialing in the tone with the amp, you are, you're setting the amp or the amp modeler or whatever to that particular guitar. And what I would probably do is, if I had two identical guitars with identical pickups, one had covers and one didn't on the pickups, then it would be a case of, okay, I might need to move the treble control a little bit from one to the other guitar. But that's it. It's an aesthetic thing for me, and it only really applies on Les Pauls. The TA80 totally different, made in Indonesia, finish and everything, brilliant, worth another couple of hundred. Well, fair enough, mate. Good for you. I've been toying with the idea of another Harley Benton. It has to be said, but it's just doing that whole guitars for good causes thing. It's been like, well, I've tried pretty much all the guitars I wanted to try. The only one I haven't really had my hands on, excuse me, is the Fusion tees. The Fusion series with, like, Telecaster shaped twin humbucker Telecasters. But I've got one of those on order. Not a Harley Benton. It's like that is essentially like the similar kind of spec as the signature guitar I'm getting. So it would seem a bit kind of, I might at some point, actually, once I've got the signature guitar, do like some kind of comparison video between the two. I don't know, we'll see. But the guitar I wish Harley Benton would make, though, is, well, they do it actually. The Brian, that kind of Brian May knockoff that they do, but they don't. It's like they got it so close and then just decided, nah. Like the pickup switching on Brian May's guitar is kind of unique to that guitar. With the kind of on-off switches for the pickup and, the kind of in and out of phase. So you get all those different combinations that Brian May gets on his guitar. And I think on the Harley Benton Brian May copy, it's just kind of a five-way switch, like a Strat, and I think kind of phase switches, which cuts out a lot of the potential Brian May sounds, and they're not kind of doing the series wiring like that. And I just think, it's a few kind of bits of soldering. How much would that add to the cost? I wish they'd kind of do it right. But there you go. Anyway, Peter Shields saying, with you on Van Morrison, allegedly he's a bit of an arse, although the same thing was said of John Martin and Danny Thompson. How can anyone who writes like John Martin be that? This is it. This, sometimes the most creative, artistic people have that artistic temperament, don't they? Which means that they can be difficult to work with. There are plenty of documented cases of people who are creatively very prolific and very artistically very kind of expressive and what have you, who just are very, very difficult people to get along with. And I don't tend to listen to music and think about the personality of the person making it. I did hear. Remember when Paul McCartney in the late 80s, or was it the early 90s, went back out touring again, and he got his touring band. He was doing this big tour, and if there weren't kind of like maybe 4 or 5 days off, then he used to apparently insist that all of the band members flew home because he was flying home, and he didn't want the band kind of existing as an entity without him. It's like, so anybody who was in the band was kind of forced to sort of, kind of give up any sightseeing or, kind of, downtime in the country that they were in. And you think, yeah, that's a little bit, kind of questionable, isn't it? And, there's a few people who've said that McCartney is difficult to work with on that score, but I don't care because he wrote Penny Lane. Do you know what I mean? That's my view on it. Daily Me, Craig, you met Nuno Betancourt. Yes. I mean, what a player. I remember when Get the Funk Out, what was that album? Porno Graffiti, when that came out, he was all over the guitar magazines, and he was saying, this is going to be the new guy for the 90s. He's going to be a superstar. And he was briefly, and then along came grunge, and that sort of, anybody who was even remotely associated with kind of shreddy, virtuoso guitar playing was kind of, they were off the radar then. And I think the last time I saw him, he was playing in Janet Jackson's band. Is he really, mate? That's somebody kind of making aspersions about Paul McCartney. That possibly he is what you just said, but as I say, anybody that wrote Yesterday and Penny Lane, I'm prepared to cut them a bit of slack. Let's put it that way. Check out Beat Club on YouTube. It's an early to mid-70s German top the pops, but with all the big rock names of the time. Is that what it is? Because I've seen so many things, like, where it's kind of this band or that band, kind of any kind of Bad Company or, kind of Deep Purple or whatever on Beat Club. And I've always wondered what Beat Club is, but there you go. Now I know. I like that carpool karaoke with Paul McCartney when he went back to Penny Lane. The only thing about carpool karaoke is that you have to endure James Corden. And yeah, the least said about him, the better. He's not my favourite TV personality. Let's just say that and leave it at that. Have I thought about doing an acoustic guitar setup video? Most setup videos are for electric. I would love to see an acoustic. I would if I had the knowledge and the skill and the expertise to do it. But, most of my guitar playing career, if you want to call it that, has been on electric guitars, and I've learned how to set up electric guitars. Setting up an acoustic guitar is an entirely different beast. As I say, I think I probably said last week, with an electric guitar, you want to lower the action, just get the Allen key and move the bridge saddles. On an acoustic guitar, you've got to start kind of filing and sanding and stuff like that. So I don't really feel qualified to do such a video. Paul McCartney gave you a lift home in his Austin 1100 from Ashford Station one horrible and windy wet night in the early 70s. Went right out of his way. Great bloke. Fair enough. Two sides to every story, isn't there? Rory Gallagher's Beat Club Sessions is great. Yes, I've seen that. Yes. There is still, I'm still looking for a Rory Gallagher solo to feature on the channel. But as I've said before, I've got to think in terms of, what can I get done in, what kind of video can I kind of get the solo learned, transcribed, backing track done, video shot, and all edited together in a morning. And there aren't many Rory Gallagher solos where I can actually do that. David Gilmour was a miserable sod when you encountered him. Well, fair enough, mate. I'll tell you another guy who, he was just like really miserable or kind of, unsociable. It was years and years and years ago. Radio 1 had this competition that they were doing where it was prizes that money can't buy. And the drummer in a band I was in at the time won one of these kind of phone-in competitions, and his prize that he got was he got backstage passes to a Van Halen gig. And apparently Eddie was just like the most uncommunicative kind of guy that you could meet. He was just sat in the corner of the dressing room, kind of practicing his skills, monosyllabic, not really engaging with him. And it was like, okay, the management said I've got to do this, so yeah, hi, how are you, kind of thing. And that was the extent of it, whereas other members of the band were a little bit more full on, it has to be said. Steve Lukather, really? You see, I've heard that before about him, but I've never ever seen a video where he's come across like that. He always comes across as being like a really down to earth, salt of the earth kind of guy. But fair enough, I have heard that before about him. Paul Gilbert was super guy, as is Richie Kotzen. Yeah, fair enough. Again, guys who live up to that sort of, they have that persona when you see them and, kind of doing the videos and stuff. But who knows? I suppose we can all have off days, can't we? And, if you are a big, kind of super cool megastar, you're allowed an off day as much as anybody else. It's just that if you have an off day and you meet a member of the public, they're going to tell everybody that what an arse you were. Yeah, you only get remembered for the bad things. It has to be said. Never met that John Robson bloke, but he seems okay. Yeah, I wouldn't believe that for a minute more, mate. There's plenty of people who've got bad things to say about me, and they usually say them on me in the comments section, or they have done anyway. But I don't care. Who wants to throw a TV out of a hotel room? Yeah, that's. I remember Liam Gallagher was being asked about that. Now, I'm not the world's biggest Liam Gallagher fan, it has to be said, but I do. That there are Oasis songs that I like, and for better or worse, Oasis kind of made guitar solos and guitar-based music cool again for a while. But some journalist was asking Liam about, well, why did you throw that TV out of the hotel bedroom window? It's been done. He says, yeah, but not by me, which is fair enough. You used to like Rod Stewart, then you met him. Well, fair enough. You tried to throw a TV out of the taxi cab office window, but it wouldn't fit. Fair enough. Yeah, Davey, through the fire and flames. Indeed, we'll see. What's that, Carl? You had the pleasure of meeting Liam Gallagher at a charity do once. He was surprisingly down to earth and very funny. Yeah, I mean, what can you say? I wish I had some celebrity anecdote to relate to you guys, but unfortunately, I don't. Oh, yes, I do. Yes, Albert Lee. Met him once at the guitar show. Top bloke. Had a beer with him. Nice bloke, and just really, really humble about his playing. He couldn't really understand why people thought of him as a virtuoso, and he just thought, I just play skiffle, which is one way of putting it. But yeah, really nice bloke. Where are we? Brings to mind that song by Perfectly Good Guitar by John Hyatt. Great track. Oh, yes. Fantastic. Yeah. Perfectly. Why would anybody smash a perfectly good guitar? If Rod Stewart had a bouquet of flowers, he would throw it at himself. Fair enough. Yeah. And I have to say, the thing about Rod is, did anybody notice that as soon as his voice went, he started expressing like a lifetime admiration for all of the kind of crooner kind of music, like where you didn't have to really sing that much. The Great American Songbook. Sorry, but if I want to listen to Frank Sinatra songs and Dean Martin and Tony Bennett and that sort of stuff, I'm going to listen to Frank Sinatra and Dean Martin and Tony Bennett. I don't want to hear Rod Stewart kind of croaking his way through that stuff. Yeah, I actually think Robbie Williams did an all right job on that album. Was it Swing When You're Winning? It wasn't my favourite, kind of renditions of those songs, but I certainly think he did them better than Rod did. Yep. Rod was never fit to tie Steve Marriott's laces. Yes, indeed. Now, there's a guy who doesn't get anywhere near the recognition that he deserves. People talk about rock vocalists, and it's always, Paul Rodgers, Ian Gillan, Robert Plant, and nobody ever mentions Steve Marriott. What a voice that guy had. Absolutely incredible singer. Yes, Jimmy Page and Robbie Williams hate each other. Yes, that's over some kind of planning dispute about like an extension or a swimming pool or something. They're neighbours, and they've had a bit of a kind of spat over that kind of thing, haven't they? Ronnie James Dio, indeed, Colin. Yes, mate. Yeah, fantastic singer. Being something of an Aussie fan, it kind of sticks in me craw to say this, but Was he the best singer that Sabbath ever had? He was certainly the best singer that Rainbow ever had. And again, you know, big Graham Bonnet fan and Joe Lynn Turner, but you know, that first Rainbow album, I mean, you know, nobody can kind of come close to that with Ronnie's voice. Yeah, Ann Wilson, Heart, indeed. Now, there's a band that I kind of got into back to front, if you know what I mean. I never heard of them, and then there was this big power ballad in the 80s. Does anybody remember Alone by Heart? And then I sort of kind of, well, what's this? You know, this is a rock band that everybody's saying of making a big comeback, and I've never heard of them before. Okay, so you go back and you find tracks like Barracuda, and fantastic voice she had. Mick Ronson used to come to your place of work, one of the nicest people ever, an outstanding guitarist and good and music arranger and producer. Yeah, I only found out recently that Mick Ronson was the producer on Lou Reed's Transformer album. I didn't know that until, embarrassingly, quite recently. Fantastic guitar player. Again, I keep mentioning this, but every now and again on Sky Arts, that Freddie Mercury tribute gig keeps cropping up. And I always seem to catch it around about the time that Bowie and Mick Ronson and Ian Hunter are doing All the Young Dudes, and it's just a fantastic performance. Anyway, chaps, we've been on an hour, and I'm getting hungry, so I'm going to call time round about now. Once again, 159 people watching at the moment. It never ceases to amaze me just how many people are prepared to turn up and watch a fat lad get leathered. Incredibly grateful to you all for all the support that you give me and the channel, and all of the views that you give me, and all the comments and everything, and all the input that you have. I'm really, really humble about all of this. Thank you guys once again. I'll see you all again same time next week. Loads of great videos in the meantime. But for now, time, gentlemen, please.